Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So I am in the chat also for this live, making sure I'm ready to answer your questions. If this is your first time tuning into one of these, I'm weather and radar meteorologist Mary Mays. Welcome. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get right into it and making sure that everything is set up and that we're ready to go. And I'm actually going to start out with a closer look at the weather and radar website. And you see this on the app when you open it, but you can also go to weatherandradar.com if you're near your computer and kind of want to just look at maybe a bigger screen. And there's a few things this shows. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you our weather radar. And you can see that you can look at what's happening right now over the next, 30 minutes, next 60 minutes, over the rest of the day, tomorrow, Friday into Saturday. This gives you a lot of information, but I'm clicking back right now to what's happening now because we do have some pretty strong storms in the Dallas metro area. You can see this extends, through Plano. Garland, you're going to see this eventually, but this is Carrollton through Dallas toward Frisco. And these are, going to be giving you some gusty winds, some hail, not necessarily severe just yet, but the storms that start to form later on in the afternoon and evening, they are going to bring the chance of strong, severe weather. And we could see tornadoes in this area today. We could see damaging winds, and we could see large hail. So park your car under the carport or garage, whichever you may have. You got this little cluster of storms just northeast of Athens around Brownsboro into Canton. And, kind of just lightning, nice little cluster kind of going up toward the Oklahoma border. And that's what we're looking at there. Let me kind of take a close look at Florida. Not much going on yet. You do have a little thunderstorm kind of forming just east of Wedgefield. And Florida and Texas both have enhanced risks today. So I wanted to kind of walk you through what you can look at here. Let's say you're looking at the weather for Dallas. If you live in Dallas, and I'm double checking to make sure that you don't have any questions just yet, but I wanted to kind of roll you through. Notice this is the screen for Dallas, and this is so cool because you can see, how long the storms are expected to last. You can take a look at the next 90 minutes here with weather radar. You just click on it and it tells you where you're at. And you get that information. You can see the forecast, which is amazing. You see the temperatures, everything. And then also it's going to tell you what type of weather you could see. And notice you have this weather alert, severe thunderstorms with large hail, damaging winds. And if you're in the app right now, it's going to be real easy just to hit yes if you want to activate weather alerts for your location. So this is pretty cool. And the other thing I really like is, you still get the forecast and all the different ways you want. You get it for the next couple weeks. And, we have all of this information and all of these, sort of great articles about what's happening with the forecast. But we also have, a camera right here showing Irving. So you can see what's going on. This is the Axis Experience Center in Dallas, Texas. And you can see it's kind of gloomy and not so fun looking. And then sunset and moonset and rise, probably not as important today because you're not going to see it with the clouds. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at. Also, if you kind of want to get a very close look at the forecast, we write these large articles every day and we really get into the details on what's going to be happening with your severe weather threat. So, if you prefer to read an article, you've got that option as well. And I'm double checking to make sure that none of you have any questions, but I wanted to walk you through that. Now let's really kind of get into the nitty gritty of the forecast. So this is today's severe weather risk, and we have an enhanced risk. It's level 3 out of 5, centered over the heart of Texas, the Waco up through about Dallas, and then also around the kind of central coast region there on Florida, which you don't typically see enhanced risks often in Florida, at least not in that part of Florida. It's not unusual in the Panhandle, but kind of on the peninsula, not so frequent. And then much of the area too around the Florida Peninsula is also under a slight risk. That's level 2 out of 5. We're going to focus on the Dallas area, sort of that central and north Texas into portions of the Arklatex. Now notice we've got some thunderstorms really start to get more active this afternoon and evening. I did not mean to jump forward that far. Let's go back. So we were at 5 o'clock here on weather radar. So notice you've got these thunderstorms really starting to come into play. And this area is likely we're going to see a lot of storm chasers today because we could see a few tornadoes, we could see large hail, and we could also see those really damaging thunderstorm wind gusts. But what we're seeing is this really taking this afternoon and evening. That's 7 o'clock, and these are in. And notice this continues into the evening. Still pretty darn stormy. As we have a low pressure that's dipping south, and this is the cold front right here. That's also, and you'll see all of this weather starting to shift east. So it's going to be stormy overnight into tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. Notice it's a very active morning in New Orleans into southern Mississippi. More into the details of that time period, your Thursday threat. But I did want to kind of show you that closer look at Texas. Now, Texas, you're going to have some really active weather in the Dallas metro area, down into the Waco area. And, these storms likely going to be kind of those photogenic storms that produce tornadoes, that could produce that large hail, those damaging winds. So you really hurrying up now to ahead and be those supercells this afternoon and this evening. So that's into 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, even beyond there over College Station, which is where Texas is located. And I'm also trying to double check on the chat, make sure I'm not missing any of y'all's questions. Doesn't look like I am, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that. So there's a lot going on with this system, and I just want to make sure that you are weather aware and that you know what's happening. I did not mean to go forward that far. So that's the threat for Texas. Here is the risk for Florida. It's really that central coast area. It includes Orlando, where we've got that enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5. And then just below risk, you got the slight risk over Miami, Florida. You see some strong storms as well. Lake O, you're included in this. It's really just if you're on the alert to these storms, and you'll really start them coming into play this afternoon. Now, what we're going to see is kind of these supercell thunderstorms possibly. And the reason why this is kind of in Florida is what's going to happen is they're going to have some powerful updrafts with them. And the stronger the updraft of the storm, the bigger the hail can get. So we could see baseball-sized hail in Florida this afternoon into the evening hours. That is humongous hail. That is enough to damage your home. 1 inch in diameter and larger hail can damage your roof. It can take out your windshield. And it can do all kinds of damage. You can end up, when you get hail 2 inches and above, it can even total your car. So it can get really intense. And so if you're anywhere kind of in the central part of Florida, Central Coast, and then a little further inland as well toward Orlando, Point St. Lucie, please be alert. If you have a carport, if you have a garage, if you have access to covered parking, take advantage of it this afternoon. Best advice I have for you. Things calm down after about 10 o'clock. You should be in pretty good shape by then. Now, there is a tornado threat. It would be isolated. I don't expect much, but I can't rule out a warning, and also can't rule out some damaging winds. But for the Florida, some big hail. That is the main concern. Along the Gulf Coast into tomorrow. Slight risk, level 2 out of 5, primarily confined to the coastal region, so New Orleans, Mobile. This even kind of goes into Dothan, Alabama, which I don't know if you guys know anything about Dothan, but y'all are well known, or they are well known for their peanuts. So that's kind of something I'm excited about because we're really heading into peanut season. And then Columbus, Georgia, kind of glancing below from this as well. So this is, including a lot of these Gulf Coast areas and popular vacation spots this time of year too. So just keep that in mind. So this is the front, and as it moves to the east early tomorrow morning, you see these storms really popping off around New Orleans, and then they're continuing into the afternoon. You'll see them moving Panhandle, and it is wet and messy up to where I'm at in Nashville. You know, throughout the Mississippi Valley, even up to the Ohio Valley. It's just going to be a gross day overall. And this system continues to push into Friday. And then in Texas, you'll have another system swinging in on Friday as well. The threat of some stronger thunderstorms. So we're not done with the severe weather threats. It's going to be today and tomorrow. However, we've got a risk for severe weather stretching from Florida into the Carolinas. That's a marginal risk for Friday. That's level 1 out of 5. That's kind of what's left of the system that's impacting Texas and the Gulf Coast today and tomorrow. That will be on Friday. And then you have another new system over Texas. That's going to be a frontal boundary. So central Texas from Waco into San Antonio, South Texas, you've got a slight risk there. So we're going to be watching Friday as well as we see that new threat moving in as we head into the weekend. And we'll get more of a clear view as to how that's going to impact you as we head into Saturday and Sunday. But for Friday, Central Texas heads up once again, and then also into Florida and into Georgia and the Carolinas. Now, these storms likely going to be hail and wind threats, but we'll see. The other thing I wanted to mention is the threat for flooding. We're going to see a ton of rain. Inches, and in those deep blue areas that's going to be more than 3 inches. So notice quite a few spots could see a heck of a lot of rain. I would say anywhere from Texas up through the Ohio River Valley into Florida, you could see some flooding. Heads up, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, where you've seen some pretty significant flooding in the last week or two. And yeah, there's a lot going on. Who knew that Florida could be so active this time of year with severe weather? Normally you think of it as being, you know, Oklahoma, Texas, kind of the plains, but the Southeast and Florida in general getting it a lot this year so far. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the forecast. And once again, I'm just going to leave you with a kind of a closer look at what's happening right now. Things are still pretty intense there in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro. And we want to make sure that you're paying attention, that you have those alerts on. Also, it looks like we do have one severe thunderstorm around actually Effingham County, Georgia, which I don't normally know every county, but I do know this county very well because I grew up right here. But this is a severe storm. Likely got some winds with it, maybe a little bit of hail, and you can see that there with the thunderstorm. So let's say we type in, you know, we want to look at the forecast for, you know, Rincon, Georgia, where I'm from. So you look at that, those notifications, you can get a closer look at what's happening, where you're at, and you get all that information you need. And remember, this is available on our app and online at weatherandradar.com. So I think I've covered pretty much everything. There's a lot going on. You just need to stay weather aware today, especially in central Texas, the heart of Texas, and in Florida, especially the Central Coast area. Those are going to be the folks that really have that greatest risk. I'm going to leave you with a look at this map here. This is Wednesday severe risk. So today's severe risk. Remember, both for Florida and Texas, things are going to start ramping up in the next few hours. It's really afternoon and evening that you see the most action, and kind of even into the overnight for Texas. So please stay alert, be weather aware. Flash flooding, also a concern, 1 to 3 inches, with some spots seeing even more than that in the next 48 hours. If you see water on the road, don't drive through it, because it only takes a few inches of fast-moving water to move your car. And even if you don't get swept away, it's still going to stall out your engine and cause all kinds of trouble. So just don't drive through it. Turn around, don't drown. It's important for the safety, your safety, but also, you know, you don't want to ruin your car. I've seen so many people do that, and it's just not a good situation. It's better just to drive around it, maybe spend a little bit extra time than putting yourself into danger. Now, there's a lot going on. We've got that tornado threat once again in Texas, so we're going to keep you updated. We'll have an update on this tomorrow. Anything that happens today, this afternoon, this evening, we'll have an update article for you. And please stay alert, turn the alerts on your weather and radar app. If you haven't, we want to make sure that you get those warnings when you need them, those app alerts that tell you that a severe thunderstorm is moving into your neck of the woods. Please stay safe, and I will see you folks later.